Hello everyone, my name's Tori. I'm a professional freediver, deepest human in the Western Hemisphere for now, and I'd like to talk to you about the best value dive watch for the money if you're a freediver. Cutting through all the fat, it's the Atmos Mission 2. Stick around and I'm going to tell you exactly why that this is the best value dive watch for the money if you're a freediver. But what if you're spearfishing or what if you're scuba diving? Well, you might get a different answer. This video is specifically focused towards freediving, but while we're here, I'm going to give you my opinion on which is the best if you're spearfishing and scuba diving as well. And I'm also going to have an honorable mention at the end of a new dive watch that just got released. So stick around to find out more about this mystery watch at the end. Let's get into it. Okay, so the three watches I'm going to talk about are the Suunto D4, the D4f, D4i. There's three variations of that watch, the Atmos Mission 2, and the Garmin MK3i. This is the most bougie and it does the most things, but this is the best value for the money you can get as a freediver. And the reason I say that is because the screen, the feature set, and the price. This watch and the Suunto D4 have a feature that even the Garmin doesn't have. And that feature is you can go through the dive every second of the dive for every dive while you're out on the water on the watch. So imagine you finished a dive, something felt off. So what do? You look at your watch, you go through it, you see, oh wow, I was really slow between these depths and this depth, or I was really slow coming up. You can look at this out on the water and make changes on the fly. If you know that it took you 50 seconds to get to 40 meters, that's not giving you the whole story. If you can look on your watch and see, wow, I was really slow between 0 and 25 meters. And then I was a pretty okay speed from 25 meters all the way to 40. You're not going to be able to figure that out on the Garmin until you pair with your phone and go on the app. With the Atmos, you can look at that out on the water. You can find the changes that you need to make. And this is a very overlooked missing feature in a lot of dive watches. And for some reason, to my knowledge, it only exists on the watch, out on the water, with the Atmos Mission 2 and the Suunto D4. So on the Garmin, you can definitely do this, but you have to pair up with a phone and go over it on the application. You can't do it on the watch, at least not yet. The screen on the Atmos is called an MIP screen, so it does very well in direct sunlight. In this video, you can see me comparing the Atmos Mission 2 to the Garmin MK3i in direct sunlight. And the second I move into the shade, the Garmin gets more vivid and more bright compared to the Atmos, which gets a little bit more dull in the shade. Meaning you can look at it in direct sunlight and read it very easily. Whereas the Garmin has an AMOLED screen, a lot like a phone, so it has to overpower the sunlight. Now this is great for scuba divers because underwater you get all the contrast with the absence of light. And if you're spearfishing, it's great for all the same reasons. But most freedivers, and I say this most because if you're looking at your watch underwater as a freediver, stop it. Stop doing that. Unless you're safetying for somebody, you don't need to be looking at your watch underwater. Most freedivers are only going to look at their watch at the surface to diagnose their last dive or get ready for the dive they're about to do. And so for us, it's more valuable, in my opinion, to not have a touchscreen and just have a screen that you can read in the direct sunlight. That's my opinion. On top of that, having a touchscreen doesn't benefit you in the water. The benefits of a touchscreen are most apparent outside of the water. You can look at it in direct sunlight, you'll never have any issues looking at it. It'll be less contrasty underwater, but it is by no means bad. And in my opinion, it's a better watch to have. And on the default screen that the Atmos has, there's everything you need right there. You can hit one button to start a timer if you're safetying somebody. You can do all kinds of things that are just by default ready to go on that watch. And it's very easy to use, very user-friendly. The Suunto D4 is also ready to use and user-friendly, but if it's priced similar to the Atmos Mission 2, there's no question the Mission 2 is better. The Suunto D4 series is typically going to run anywhere between $300 to $400 brand new. The Atmos Mission 2 is usually going to run you between $300 to $500, and the tech giant that is Garmin MK3i is usually going to run you anywhere between $1,200 to $1,800 depending on what model you get. Now all of these prices vary depending on where you are in the world when you buy it, but these are very general figures. I also want to point out that buying these watches secondhand and used I think is a good idea because these watches are rugged, they're durable, and they're meant to last. You can find really good deals online buying these things secondhand. The Atmos and the Suunto are similarly priced, but the Atmos feels like a whole generational leap ahead for a few reasons. You get a ton more features, you get a more advanced battery, and you get a more advanced display. The Atmos Mission 2 has up to 10 depth alarms, 10 ascent alarms. It'll vibrate as well as make a noise. It can geotag and locate locations. It can check your heart rate. There's just a lot more features with the Atmos Mission 2. And the Suunto only has a few tricks up its sleeves. If you have the D4f and the D4i, it'll give you up to 5 depth alarms. It'll give you an additional depth target alarm and 1 timer alarm. But it is loud. It does not vibrate, but the noise that it makes is one of the louder noises. It's important to note that with the regular D4, you're only going to get a depth target alarm, a timer alarm, and a regular surface timer alarm, which is standard on all the D4s. You can charge your Atmos like a phone overnight, and depending on how many times you dive, it'll probably last a few days. The Suunto is like a traditional watch battery in that it'll last about 6 months to a year depending on how much you're diving. That sounds great, but when you're in a remote location and then all of a sudden you need to change the battery on the watch, that can be a big hassle. And if you've never done it yourself, it's an even bigger hassle. The first few times you'll probably seek out a dive shop to replace it for you. And then when you're like me or other elite freedivers, you're in a remote location, you learn how to do it yourself. And it's not an easy task. It's not the most difficult task, but it's going to take time out of your day to do that. And there's nothing worse getting ready to go into your dive and all of a sudden you see low battery on that watch. When it says low battery on that watch, you run the risk of the alarms not going off. That's how it starts to operate. When it's a low battery, it doesn't just not work, it'll work partially. It may not detect all of your alarms on the way down. It may be a completely silent watch in low battery mode. So I've seen it affect people in different ways. Either it doesn't work or some of the alarms will work when the battery gets low. So it's a hassle you don't have to deal with this. Like, you charge your battery on your phone, you can charge your battery on this. Seems to be the more advanced, technically speaking, way of having power on a dive watch and keeping it reliable. The Garmin, of course, does that as well. You charge it, lasts a few days, depending on how many times you use it. So on the Garmin, the geotagging is a little bit slow, and once you figure out the process, you'll be fine, you'll get used to it. The process on this is a little bit easier, but the interface is a little less intuitive on the GPS. What I've noticed is for the price, this thing seems to be very slow and laggy, but it's the only watch on the market that can really intuitively show you a map and where you are in relation to where you want to go. Whereas this will just show you a dot on the screen and give you a direction of where you need to go and how far you are from it. So it feels a little bit more analog. But it does it, and for the price, this is like $1,500, this is $400. I think you're getting a lot more value for the money with this thing. So there you have it. That's my experience with all 3 of these watches. They are all tried and true. The Suunto is old school. A lot of freedivers used to use it, and they're so attached that they still will use it. But nowadays, this was a big generational leap, and then this was a big generational leap, and this is a super happy middle ground, if you ask me. It's the most value for the money if you're a freediver. If you're a spearfisherman, spearfisher woman, the Garmin is going to get you to where you need to go if you're geotagging spots where you like to go fishing. It's just going to be better in that respect. As a freediver, this is going to give you more bang for the buck, and it's going to actually do a little bit more than this, both compared to the app, but the Garmin can't go through the dive per second of every dive out on the water, out on the watch. That's a huge misstep. And until they do, I can't recommend this one more than this, especially if this is like a third of the price and it's doing more. So there's an honorable mention here at the end, and I wasn't sure if the watch was released yet, but it is. It's called the Garmin G2. It's half the price of this one, and it has basically all the features. It's lighter, a little bit smaller screen, but I think it's a better value than the actual Garmin MK3 because it gives you all the features at half the price. But even at half the price, it's like $700. You can get the Atmos for like $400. I even saw it online for like $300. The only catch recently is that the Atmos Mission 2 can become hard to find because it's a last generation product at the moment. They're up to the Mission 3 now, but I even found that the Mission 3 is hard to find at the moment. And depending on where you are in the world will dictate how much you're going to spend on this watch. But ultimately, there's no question. You're going to get the most value for the money with this Atmos Mission 2. Well, there you have it. Atmos Mission 2, best value dive watch if you're a free diver. Don't spend all your money. Enjoy your dives. Dive safe. Have fun. Don't forget to subscribe below to join the free weekly newsletter. Think of it as free coaching. I'll be giving tips, tricks, and advice, as well as bringing up very unique freediving topics. This will be in an effort so that I can better understand you, the audience, so that I'll know which kind of content to make in the future. So again, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for joining the crew. Subscribe if you enjoyed it, and hit the like button if you learned something.